Hey there team. So this is another Tiermaker video. It was quite a while ago that I made the last one, but this one's on Spearmen, the last one was on Men at Arms. So this one's quite similar in a lot of ways. Spearmen, I'll talk about what type of Spearmen I've generally picked in a moment, but I do think that Spears can fulfill many of the same roles as Men at Arms. You can do many things better than them, but a lot of things a lot worse. Like the last one, I will be posting the tier in the Tiermaker in the description of this video, so please go and do it and then send it to me over Discord or in comments and I can shove your one up in the description, or just you can show me where I'm wrong and so on, because this will be one that I'm not as confident about as the Men at Arms. The tier system that I'm going to be working on, but definitely do whatever you think is important, but I'm going to be going for how well they can hold the line. So that's just a case of survivability, morale. Their infantry killing power, that's kind of tied into the first point. You're not really taking them to kill infantry, but when they are holding the line, part of that is about dealing with the infantry that's coming at them. Cav killing power, definitely the primary reason for me to bring Spearmen. Their pushing power, a lot of Spearmen are not made for pushing, but I think most Spearmen on this list can go into shield wall, they can push. Then the importance to the faction. So as I say, there's some units that I think, on their own, they are fantastic units, but as part of the faction, they become less important. Then special factor. Not really sure what a special factor is, in all honesty. Some units have AP, I suppose that's part of it, but there might be something that, some of them are also got a handful of javelins and so on as well, so we'll see what happens with that. And then for me, quite an important factor is their aesthetic. I like to, how the units look, so that's an important thing. And then of course, rounding it all up is the cost effectiveness, because there's of course a lot of units that can do all those things and look amazing, but they cost about twice as much as one of the lower units, so that will mark them down for sure. So we will jump on into it. I don't think there's anything more I need to say with the 4th Legion Shield Guard there. I think as dwarven infantrymen are going to do, they will hold the line exceptionally well. And they will charge you a lot to do it, but I think that you'll never really be disappointed with them, and they will rack up quite a few kills in the process. I'm actually not super bothered with their aesthetic. I don't think they look bad. I don't think any... Yeah, that's one thing that I really do enjoy about Reforged. I don't think any units look bad, but there's nothing about their aesthetic that really jumps out to me as I love this. But it would be impossible, I think, to put them any less than iron. Oh, another rule that I'll be sticking to is I'm not allowed to fill up a line. So that's going to force me to probably not just fill up iron entirely. I've got to move these people around. So I do expect the shield guard to shift during this as I start to look at the other units, but I need to... I can't put it any higher than that just yet. Then we've got the Numenorian Shield Guard. Now this is something I think they're a Dunheim Shield Guard now. This pains me to do this, but I'm gonna have to put them in stone. The reason for that is primarily there's nothing that I feel that I don't feel there's a great need to have them when I've got the Belagar Footmen right there. I love the look of them. I love using them, and I will use them. If you've seen any of my Umbar Siege videos, I will always have them in my army. But that doesn't mean that I don't really think too highly of them. I think it's good to have these higher quality spearmen, but I always think when it comes to these higher quality spearmen, they've really got to have a massive wow for me, or they've got to have armor piercing or something like that, and they just don't have that. So I think I've got to put them in stone. I'd love to have them higher, but I think that's where they've got to be. And then, yeah, as I mentioned before, the Belagar Footmen, I adore these guys. To be honest, as much... goddamn. Yeah, I'm going to put them in gold. Partly, as I say, aesthetic. I love the look of them. I use them the same way as I use in both my Umbar armies and my Numenor armies. I think that because I play Umbar as a very elite force. I use a lot of their very high tier units. So they are my lower line, and they're not actually that cheap. They're quite expensive, especially when you're shoving an armor upgrade on them. But I think you get a lot for that. Yeah, they're not really going to take a beating as well as a lot of other spearmen will, because their armor just isn't great. Even with that armor upgrade, they're not fantastic, but I think they're a solid unit all around. But to be honest, if I'm putting them in gold, I really feel I need to put the Shield Guard in gold. Okay, yeah, the Shield Guard are going to nestle themselves into gold for now. And yeah, iron is clear, which is very unusual for me. Right, Brother to the Spear. Now, I did a bit of thinking, because I did do a bit of thinking about some of these units. Some of them I didn't. Some of them will definitely surprise me along the way. But the Brother to the Spear, I love the look of them. They are not cheap. They are very expensive. I think Khand has a lot of other options when it comes to grabbing enemy cavalry. Like, I don't really feel that you rely as much on spearmen, but they're your only option for a unit of spears, and that's quite I feel that that's quite something, you know. So if you do feel unsafe, if you do feel like the enemy is going to be able to slip by you, maybe you're up against a Rohan and you're just like, yep, as much as I'm going to try and grab all of his cavaliers with my melee cav, he might just slip a unit of Riddermark cav around me, and I've got to jump on him with something. So I guess you've got the halberds though to watch your lines. Such a good shield though. I'm gonna put them in iron for now, but it's a tough choice for me. I really they're on the lower end of iron. I think if something's got to go from iron later, I'm sorry, but it's gonna probably be these boys. Citadel Guard. Okay, now Citadel Guard, I think most people are gonna really be singing their praises. Because they are very useful, and they are part of what makes Gondor such a powerful spear faction. I do like them, but they're expensive. They are so dang expensive, and I'm not saying I don't think they're worth it, but yeah, I don't know, because you do have that. You can trust these guys to rack up a lot of kills up against enemy infantry. And as I say, that armor piercing gives them a special something. So, you know, see, what I do often fear sometimes is when I'm relying on just mid-tier or fodder spears to protect me when an enemy knight comes in. Whereas if you've got Citadel Guard, that armor piercing stab is going to do a lot of work. I think, to be honest, they've got to go in gold. Even though they've got a lot of expense, I think they're probably worth it. And very heavily armored up, so as I say, they're gonna hold the line. As I think Gondor can do a lot of the stuff that dwarves can too, and they can do it very well. That's why I'm shocked that I don't see Gondor played as much on like siege defenses. I really enjoy Gondor either way. Then back to sort of the middle tier now with the Dalian spears. I should say that this has not been set up in any way. This is just a blob. This is how I uploaded it, so we're going to be coming across these guys in a weird order. Dalian spears, they can receive an armor upgrade, which is always a nice thing for me. I always like to have that that choice. If I want to go for being a little bit better, I can spend some more money on it. They're actually pretty solid. I definitely rely on them now that, of course, there are no Lake Town spears from Dale. You have to. They really are your only choice for a nice spear and shield. So I think they do that job really well. You can give them that armor upgrade, and they can withstand a lot of fire then too, and also just hold the line exceptionally well. They don't have armor piercing or anything fancy, but you would not expect that from a unit of their cost. I think right now they're iron, but you know they're a solid iron. I don't think they're going anywhere. You know, there's nothing. I do love their look, to be honest. The general Dalian, look for their units is incredible to me. So we'll see. Now, Spears of Emendwyr, I enjoy playing as Mirkwood, but I don't really take any of the Emendwyr units when I play as Mirkwood. I'm glad, like, Mirkwood using them can really start to take quite a lot of numbers, which is very impressive, you know, but a lot of elves can do that, and I see that done quite frequently nowadays. It used to be something that was very rare, but nowadays I do see a lot of people taking, say, Imladris and grabbing the swords and spears of Rivendell to fill it, and the archers of Rivendell to fill out like half of their army, and suddenly they've got quite a substantial force. They've not just got the elites. And Mirkwood grabbing the Emenduir units is pretty good. Now, the thing about Emenduir, boys, is their lack of armor. They've only really got 4 armor, I think, and that shield is gonna withstand a bit of punishment, but it's not anything. It's really not anything to write home about. So I do not think I can pop them up too high now, because they will rack up a few kills. Because being elves, they are gonna be able to do some good damage, and the elven defensive skill does mean that they'll be able to hold the line against enemy infantry quite well. But still, it's the enemy's usually going to throw some shots at you beforehand. They're probably going to throw some shots while they're in melee with you. So I just don't think I can put these guys too high. I think they've got to go in stone. It's also that small unit size that I just think is going to be getting minced through a lot faster than, say, the 163. Oh, there's only 30 more guys there, but yeah. Then somebody that definitely does not have to worry about unit size is the Dunlending Clansmen. Now, this is probably going to cause some people to scream, but these guys are definitely a solid gold for me. They've got the anti-cavalry bonus for being spearmen, and then they've also got the anti-cavalry bonus for being Dunlending men and hating Rohan, of course. But they're so cheap. They're absolutely dirt cheap. I think, what, 250 florins for a 253-man unit. You're paying, you're getting more than a man for every gold coin that you're spending on them. They are needed by Isengard. You will almost never see an Isengard army without a good 2 units off them. You can give them the armor upgrade too if you want to increase their reliability, their durability, I should say. Yeah, their morale is not... Yeah, I think their morale is what's going to give them away. But as long as you sort of keep that in check and you're not kind of just mistreating them, but a unit of that cost, you're going to be aware of that. It's not like one of these sneaky units that comes on in and you think is quite is going to last a long time, but then they end up bolting with 100 men left. No, like you'll be careful about these guys. So cav killing power is fantastic. Infantry killing power is of course dirt, but infantry are going to take a long time to kill their way through that unit, and as long as you pick your targets well, they'll do all right for you. And then in addition to that, for me, it's got to be a big thing about just I love the look of them. Again, I love that sort of wild man aesthetic. That's such a big draw factor of Rudour to me. It's just this sort of really dirty and rugged look. It's really cool. And just, I love the armor upgraded version of them too, so that's kind of why they're up there, and as I say, the importance that they have to Isengard. Yeah, I would say. Then the Dunman Spears. Once again, I'm probably going to upset people, but they're probably down in stone for me. I do not really care for these guys. I think that, yeah, they've got this absolute pathetic amount of armor. Shield's alright, of course, but they are going to die in droves. They do have the numbers to withstand dying in droves, but I still just don't think that that's enough for them. And I'm going to be viewing these guys in the role of Rudour. But I mean, again, if you're viewing them in the role of Dunland, which they are available to, I do not, maybe I'm just silly here, but I do not get why people bring them instead of the Dunlending Clansmen. But yeah, usually I'll see them bring both, of course, just because you really struggle to spend all that money when you're playing as Dunland. But when it comes to Rudour, I never take them. I will always prefer the Rudour Clansmen over them. And but I guess if you're just wanting a fodder unit, there it's what you need. So, Eastmark Spears now. Should have stated, I've not actually talked about my rules yet. I'll have hopefully included that in the description. You cannot have more than 2 javelins. If you have 4 javelins, which there were many units, there were the Etamor Troll Hunters, and there were the Linden. There is not a single Linden unit available for choice here. That's because everybody there had 4 javelins. So that's why I've excluded them. Because in my mind, I think the Etamor Troll Hunters are javelin units. And I had always viewed the 4 Linden Marines as spearmen before. Spearmen that have javelins, but they've got 4 javelins. So I think that they are hybrids or they are javelin units. And I think I'm going to have to put those into the javelin category. But once again, if you do disagree with that, I'm sorry. But that's how I feel. The Eastmark Spears, however, as I say, they have 2 javelins. It really is a bit of an afterthought. I'm going to put that into the special factor idea. I do like it. And I have actually racked up some good kills with those 2 javelins because they are armor-piercing strikes, which, for such a cheap unit, who you are taking to just be fodder, to just hold the line, it is great that they can just be like, oh hey, yeah, here's a little javelin to your face, bam. It's yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. So I think I've got to put these guys into iron. It's just, I don't know if it's just that. Like, even then, there are Rohan Spear, and Rohan's got a lot of decent choices for spears, though, in all honesty. I don't know, they might get moved down. I think probably it is the special factor of the javelins that's just helping to drag them up. But we'll see. Then we've got the Eastron Guard, not the Clan Guard. The Clan Guard are the mounted variant. The Eastron Guard are just those guys here. So, also no phalanx units. So that's why there are like the Spears of Rivendell. I haven't taken them. And whereas the Eastron Guard, although they may not have a shield, I think they're the only unit here that doesn't have a shield. Yeah, they are still unable to go into phalanx. So that's why I've brought them here. And now that did enter into some very unusual territory because there are things like the Staff Masters. They get an anti-cavalry bonus, and then but I was just like, no, let's just try our best to avoid that. Staff Masters are a very independent unit. So, but the Clan Guard, the Eastron Guard, I feel you cannot deny that they are spearmen. So East, lacking that shield though does mean that they're going to get shot to pieces, which surely I should view that the same way as I've viewed the Emendwyr units. I think that the only other option is the Scion Rim, who are very expensive, but the Scion Rim can do everything here very, very well. I think I've got to put them in stone, but I can see them maybe jumping down to wood. Again, probably the only thing that's keeping them in stone for me is how much I love their aesthetic, both before armor upgraded and after armor upgraded, and also it's their attack value. Their attack value is really quite high for a spearman, and I guess it is because they can just take those 2 hands and really shunt that spear into a horse or a man that's kind of keeping them okay. And their defensive skill is quite good. Of course, it's the exact, I think their defensive skill is the exact same as the Scion Rim. But the Scion Rim, of course, get a bit more armor and that shield. So now one of the most expensive units that we've got here. I think maybe the most expensive unit. Maybe the Sons of the Fallen have them beat. Yeah, I think so. But either way, we have the Eldarenway Spears. Now, I've just shunted my my table there, but it's hopefully not too much of an issue. I'm waving my hands around like crazy because I'm not having to use my mouse or my WASD keys right now. The Eldarenway Spears, you can get 2 of them before you hit the red limit. So when I do play as Imladris, these are the guys I take. I do not play Imladris as a militia faction. I play Imladris as a very, very elite faction. So I rely on these guys to be my front line, to protect my archers, and also to hold back cavalry attacks. You get so few of them at only 103 though, so you're not going to be able to take much ground. And these wider choke points in siege battles, you might not even be able to cover them with 1 unit of Eldarenway Spears. So that's definitely an issue. I don't know, man. Maybe I should put these guys into iron. As I say, it's just because now I am just thinking about what you can actually do with these guys. I think they can be an amazing anchor to a line, but maybe they just don't have the ability to be the line themselves, whereas there are some other units here that they would definitely not be anywhere near as effective, but they can do that. But they're not going to go down easy, and they are going to hold back. They're going to do their job very, very well. I think I'm going to put them into... I think I'm going to put them into gold. Because even though they are quite expensive, they've never ever let me down. I've never been like, oh damn, I wish I didn't get that unit of Elder Emway spears. And they do have infantry killing power. They do look fantastic. So yeah, no, they're going in gold. Then the, oh gosh, Elvelyn, Elf Friend Vineguard there. And dang it, these guys have a low attack. They have such a low attack, for their cost especially. Their armor is fantastic, they have a good shield, and they have got a good defensive skill. And they've got the endurance bonus from training with these agile elves, so they are going to hold the line, and Dorwinion needs them to do that. But they are not going to kill anything really, unless it is mounted and it's coming at them. They are just there to hold. But now that's exactly what Dorwinion wants from them. And they do look fantastic. And to be honest, the wooden shield is growing on me. When I first saw the changes, I was like, oh damn, why did they put a wooden shield? It looks, it's not as nice, it's not as cool. But no man, the wooden shield really does grow on me, and I do think I prefer it over the pure sort of metal shield that we had previously. And no man, I think that's a toughie. I think they're iron, but no. Oh, there's not like that many of them in the unit. I think they're iron though. I cannot, even as important as they are to Dorwinion, I can't really put them in gold. I think they've got to be in iron for me. Then them boys, Evandom Spears. Now once again, this is a unit that I do not really use, but I don't play as Arthedain very much. Huge unit size actually, wow, that's pretty impressive, and decent armor value on them. They are a militia unit, and so yeah, as I mentioned before with the Elder Emway, they've got almost twice the men, so they can cover twice the ground with one unit at a cheaper cost. You see these guys all the time in the Arthedain phalanx, forming a shield wall in front of the pikemen. So maybe, yeah, they are incredibly important. And they are the only spear option that, the only standard spear option that Arthedain have, now that we've not got the Forest Errand Defenders, who I didn't actually like too much. So, I don't know, maybe these guys are gold. Just, as I say, and I think they look pretty cool too, to top it off. So no, I'm going to probably put them in a gold. I don't see why not. They are militia, but I've never really seen them fail. Then we have the Goblin Band from Angmar. In all honesty, I forget these guys exist quite a lot of the time, and I'm always punished for it. I never take Spearmen with Angmar. I just don't. And yeah, I rely just more on my mass or something just to avoid spears. I've got one battle from quite some time ago where I assaulted a fortress, I think is it Austin Ithil? I think I assaulted that, and it was defended by a Rohan army. I think it was Rohan and Erebor, and I was Angmar, and I just got absolutely punished by an army of Rohan Cav that came running down the hill at me, and I had no spearmen to watch out for me. I think that I personally, yeah, I'm gonna have these guys kind of lower, but they've got a massive army size, yes, so they are going to take a long while to get cut through. They don't actually have a bad attack value in comparison, for their cost anyway, but they're not cheap. That's the thing, they're not actually incredibly cheap. I think I've got to put these guys into stone, but the special factor for them that is really cool to me is the fact that they can hide. There have been a lot of times where I've gotten the jump on people with them in a siege battle, and I've had them protecting my archers, and the enemies sallied out with cavalry because, hey, I've got my archers undefended, and then they jump up and stab at a horseman, and that's what there's not too many units in this list that can do that quite as well as they can. So the fact that they can hide means that you can protect people very well. Now, they are there to ward off cavalry, though. They're not really there to hold the line, which they just won't really be able to do too well. So, well, they will just with their numbers, but they'll just get gutted down. I think they've got to go in stone, though, which does make me feel kind of bad for the poor boys, because they have done me very well sometimes when I do remember to take them. Then we've got the Gondor Spears. Actually, they might jump into iron. But yeah, Gondor Spears. Now, attack value is not very good, but they're pretty much the spearmen, I think. They do everything that you need them to do. You can give them that great cheap armor upgrade to make them do it a lot better, but even without those armor upgrades, they're still going to hold the line not too bad. You're never going to rack up that many kills unless you're going up against a horde of Khandish cavalry. They're going to be just there to hold and keep the enemy back. I think that Gondor really relies on them, especially the way that I play Gondor, because Gondor's they've not got a melee cavalry. They've got spear cavalry in the form of the Gondor Cav, but I've tried to use them up against anything really, and they will just get eviscerated. They're just not able to go toe to toe with much. So you really do rely on your cost-effective spearmen to do what your cavalry can't, and that's exactly what the Gondor Spears can do. Because they are so solid, you can have quite a thin line off them. So even though they may not have that massive number, they can still cover quite a lot of ground. I think I'm gonna probably put them into iron though. Really. I don't know, because they are, how expensive are they? They're 575, I think, as standard. You're never going to do that. You're going to pack on the armor though, at least one level. And I think that then, I think they're gold. I think because of the armor upgrades, because of what Gondor is capable of, they're gold. And don't rely on them getting kills, but that's not what you're doing with them anyway. So, and I think if I've got the Belagar footmen up here, I need to have the Gondorian spears up here too. It's... yeah, good shield value too. Yeah, no, that's where they are. Then the Greenway Garrison Spears, super cheap. I never take them myself as Cardlin, because as I say, I need a bit of morale in my boys. I know I always talk so much about these morale buffing units that Cardlin has, but the Greenway Garrison Spears are a bit of a concern for me. Now, again, what we can see is kind of the cheaper version of the Arthedain Phalanx with the Greenway Garrison Footmen. Just behind the Greenway Garrison Spearmen. And I think that has done very well, but that's not a tactic that I go for. I think they look incredible. Once again, it's a Cardlin unit, so I'm never going to complain about them. I think they used to look great too. It's hard to say. I don't know if they look better now or if they looked better before. It's really tough for me to decide that. I do love their sort of dark tone though with this. And that sort of sigil and everything. So, I don't know, they're incredibly cheap, but they do what you need them to do as long as you can keep their morale buffed up. And that's an issue sometimes, especially in these bigger battlefields, when you might not be able to get a Dunedain Captain unit nearby, or they might get out of the massive range of the Hearthguard of Amon Sul, and then they can be out of there. If somebody gets in amongst them, they're not going to hold long, and they will just get dismantled. So I'm probably going to put them in stone. Really, you're taking these guys to take arrow fire, because I just don't think that the morale is going to hold out too long in a proper melee engagement, unless you are putting the effort to keep it going. Gundabad Guard. Now, I think that, if you are playing as Angmar, I think that if the Gundabad Guard are probably the reason that the Goblet Band don't get much love, because I do think the Gundabad Guard are very solid. Great armor for an orky boy, they can have that upgraded twice, and I think they look incredible for it. I think it's an amazing thing that the boys have done with just packing on the dwarven armor. As I've mentioned before, I've been doing a lot of looking into DAC recently, and that's kind of what they've got. They've got a big deal with sort of Gundabad wearing all of these dwarven pieces of armor and so on. So it's really cool to see that here too. I think that they're not cheap though. Yeah, but they are very important for assisting the push of the Blackwatch Legion. The Blackwatch Legion are an absolutely incredible pushing unit. The highest mass infantry in the game, as far as I'm aware, at 10. So they are going to be able to bash through stuff, but you need the numbers behind that. And I think the Gundabad Guard are a fantastic unit to fill that out. They can come in with their shield wall behind the Blackwatch and just push on forward. So I think that for that, I cannot put them any lower than iron, but I just don't know if I can put them in gold. Actually, no, I think I can. I think I probably can. Yeah, and as I say, I think if you're wanting some defense from cavalry, and you're not really wanting to expose your pikes and halberds to fire, then the Gundabad Guard will usually get picked before the poor goblin band. Well, half-orc spear guard there. Now, the interesting thing about them is, of course, they're the only, apart from the guards of Orthanc, shield wall unit that Isengard has, which definitely is, it makes them an attractive idea, because, you know, Isengard's either going to just have to mince through you, or stab you with their pikes, or shoot you with their crossbows. You know, they really will struggle to break your lines open, as a lot of the orc factions can. And but if they do want to do that, then the half-orc spear guard are really their only option. I think they, well, once again, I think they look great. I love that when you do give them the armor upgrade, they start packing on the Isengard plate. And good little attack values on them too. I think they're a solid, but is that shield? I can't remember what that shield value is. I think I've got to put them in iron, but I definitely am putting them in gold. I just think that yeah, because they can rack up a good few kills, and it's the shield wall push. Those are the two main things that are making me shove them into iron. And because you don't really need them to defend against cavalry, the Dunlendings do that for you very comfortably. Now, it's them boys, the Haradrim Spears. I don't really take... Oh, actually you do, you know, because you usually just have a bit of money. They're just so cheap. Again, they're the same price as the Dunlending Clansmen. Very little armor, gonna get blasted to pieces, but you've got the numbers to do that. You're actually 50 men less than the Dunlending Clansmen. And, yeah, I think that you don't really have the killing power to really deal with much cavalry. You know, cavalry is going to be able to get away with coming in and out against you. Your morale is going to be a bit flimsy being a militia tier evil man. And, yeah, I don't... Nah, I'm probably putting these guys in stone, unfortunately. I just don't think that... yeah, I do think that they look great with that darker tone as well that we've gone for in the past year. It definitely does bump them up, but no, I think they're stone. Now, I'm a massive fan of the heavy goblin spears. Good source of AP, good organized unit as well. Massive army, like unit size. Good armor on them. Nice little shield on them too. And every single man in that unit's got it. So it's no, it's a good unit, I'd say. And as I say, even though they're only doing like I think 3 damage per strike, that's AP damage, sorry about that. So if you are taking them, as long as you're careful with them, I remember there was a battle, one of my first few battles I played, Total War, Reforged. I came in to attack these heavy goblin spears as Cardlin, and I did win, but the heavy goblin spears were the last unit remaining out of this Moria army, and I was very impressed with them. And I didn't know they were AP at that point, but yeah, I think they've got to go in gold. I just really don't feel that they could be any lower than that. Then we have the Hiriek. I do enjoy these guys. Again, Elven Spears, only 2 more armor than the Spears of Imendware, but they can receive that armor upgrade, which I'd say if you are wanting to hold the line, you've kind of got to. Although I would normally always suggest people spend that armor upgrade on the Hiri Lang, with their big old swords, just bashing people down. Just gives them a little bit more defense. And Hiriek do have that shield value, but still they are going to get minced if the enemy really starts to focus on them. They can go into shield wall, which I think the Spears of Reforged can do that too. I think I'm going to put them in iron just because even I have actually unloaded fire onto the face of the Hiriek quite a lot, and they do hold out against it. Not too bad, especially as I say if they've received that armor upgrade. Now, the Hobbitry in arms, no longer the absolute Chad knots that they were previously, removed as their AP value. They're actually 252. Why are they 252 and everything else is 3? Need to have a look at that unit. Do they not have a banner carrier? Do they only have like a captain and... Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'll need to have a look at that unit. Unsure. Is there any other 2 unit? No. They're the only one. Cool. Anyway, so they're down a man. They're worthless. They're wood. No, I think the hobbits need them to just really be this swarming number. Like the goblin band, they have got this ability to jump up and surprise people and just like massacre them. But up against the hobbits, you're going to be ready for it. You're going to know that they're hiding. They've of course got units like dotted about here, there, and everywhere, ready to pounce at your cavalry. So you're going to be microing your cav, whereas with Angmar, with the Goblin Band, you might forget. You might not think, as I say, I forget about the Goblin Band all the time, and I'm playing as Angmar. So I don't think it's as much of a wow factor as it was previously. They don't have the best morale, which is definitely a bit of an issue. I think that they are going to go down pretty quick, and the hobbits don't have that much in the way of like morale buffers to keep their boys in there. Unlike, say, the Greenwich Garrison Spears. I'm on... Whoa, wait, no. They're smaller unit size. So, does mean even though you can shoot them to pieces, they're going to be dodging a lot of that. I think they're wood. I'm sorry, boys. I think we've got to put them in wood. I've yet to use them though in this new version. I've not seen the hobbits getting played too much. I think people are afraid of eagles. But yeah, but I think they've probably got to go into wood, unfortunately, which is too bad because I do like them as a unit, but I just don't think that they're so cheap. So cheap, but they're just gonna die. Why am I putting them there, but I'm not putting the Haradrim Spears down into wood then? That's the question. The morale's probably about the same. Oh, frick. I think... Okay, you're stone for now, hobbits. You're stone for now. But, we gotta wait and see what happens. Then we have the Ironfoot Spears. Now, I'm a big fan of the Ironfoot Spears. I think that they are very, very solid for what you're getting. And nice beefy armor. Being a dwarf, of course, I think the Dwarven Spears are always going to be up there. And I think they don't have AP or anything too fancy, but no, like they've got another 20 men than the Shield Guard. They're definitely nowhere near as good as the Shield Guard, but they're cheaper too. So I think so. Pretty sure they're cheaper. So no, I think they're solid gold. The Lorenan Spears. Now, these guys do actually wear a bit of armor. They are wood elves, but they're certainly not like Imladris, but they are a much more high, in my mind I feel they're a much higher tier of wood elf. The Mirkwood wood elves I think are always a bit more distant, a bit more, I think, there's a funny quote or something, less, they're less wise and more dangerous or something like that. But that's not in relation to Lothlorien and Mirkwood, but still something along those lines. And it's that armor value allows them to withstand a bit more fire, and got 10 men less than the Hiriek do, but no, they'll do not too bad. I think I'm going to put them into iron for now. Just as I say, it's that smaller unit size, less possible ground to cover. Well, less ground that they can cover. So yeah. But we will see. Minas and Morgul Chosen. Now, I like them. I think that you do see them all the damn time with Mordor. I think that Mordor's really not got an amazing mid-tier, that's just the way that they're designed to be, and I do like that, but Minas Morgul Chosen to me are something that I think is solidly in that mid-tier, and I think it's a good mid-tier. And I remember seeing them, and it was the same battle in which I got attacked by the Rohirrim Cav. That was the first time I really saw the Minas Morgul Chosen strive, and I was like, wow, they're pretty good. So I think that, yeah, they are very needed by Mordor, and I think they're definitely iron, and you know, because they're pushing, they can push, of course, but they're not needed to do that. I think the Blackguard of Barad-dûr, even though their mass is only six, they have that massive unit size, and you've usually got two of them, so you can kind of push in by yourself. It's not like with Angmar where you need the Gundabad Guard behind your Blackguard in order to spread that push and really make a dent, or a bulge, I guess. Whereas with Mordor, the Blackguard of Barad-dûr can kind of do that by themselves. So I think they're an iron right now. Then Minheriath spears. Now I use the Minheriath spears all the time, so you know I can't really talk too much crap about them. Their armor is fantastic, and they're quite a cheap unit for that armor value. Like the Gondor spears, they're not going to do much damage. Many spears won't do much damage, but I always like to have these guys up next to my crossbowmen, so that the enemy is going to either shoot at your heavily armoured and shielded crossbows, or they're going to shoot past them and shoot your heavily armoured and shielded spearmen. And it really does put them into a bind. And considering, you know, Cardlin, with your crossbows, you've got to get closer than you would with your archers, so thus your defenders of your archers have to get closer, so they do have the ability to withstand that. They can use shield wall, they can push. Cardlin doesn't really have the best ability to do that. Their morale is probably not going to hold out unless you've got a captain, a Dunedain captain, or the Tharbad Warhammers pushing right next to them. You know, where they're pushing through a friendly line of the Wardens of Tir and Gorthad. You know, it's always going to be a struggle, but I can't put them any lower than iron. They do what they've got to do, and as long as you're aware of their morale issues, like this is a problem when it comes to siege defenses, when people have their units dotted out in the middle of nowhere and they aren't backed up, they aren't supported with a morale buffer. I can definitely see these guys struggling, but no. And as I say, the aesthetic is great. This is another one of those units that I used to really love the look of them, and I was like, no, don't, please don't change it, but no, I've accepted change, and I think it's good. I think it does look really nice, and it does look, of course, a lot more Lord of the Rings-esque than their previous aesthetic did. Then we've got the Mornon Guard. Now, I feel that the effectiveness of the Minas Morgul Chosen really does hamper the power of the Mornon Guard. You know, anything that the Minas Morgul Chosen can do, the Mornon Guard they can do it, but just nowhere near as well. And for me, I'd really just not get the I would just not get the Mornon Guard and just get more Mornon infantry, you know? You've got the Minas Morgul Chosen to watch out for everything, so why not just get to watch out for Cav? Why not just get the Mornon infantry, where you're probably going to be able to kill a handful more infantry than you will with the Mornon Guard? And for that, I think I've got to put something into wood, so I think the poor Mornon Guard are probably getting that. Yeah, poor boys. And as I say, it's just because I would always prefer to get a Mornon infantryman. I just do not see, unless I know I'm going up against a horde of cavalry, I don't see the need. Because you've got the orc fodder there too. If you're just wanting a unit to take fire, you've got the orc fodder. If you're wanting a shield wall unit, or if you're wanting a unit of shields to stand in front of your halberd line, you've got the orc fodder. Now, of course, if I was doing it in a very sort of cinematic fashion, as I like to do sometimes, if I was just building my army for aesthetic, that's the only time I would really bring the Mornon Guard. If I wanted to have that Mornon armor all the way through, I love that sort of the orc maulers, give them the armor upgrade, more on infantry, more on halberds, and more on guard, and more on archers, and they look amazing all together like that. That's sort of the same armor sort of felt throughout the entire army. Then anyway, orc fodder, mithril, gotta be. But no, as much as I want to put them in mithril, I really do. I just can't. Maybe I shouldn't have put them in here because they're. It's hard to gauge the cost effectiveness, I guess. Okay, this is maybe I don't know. I don't know where to put him because, as I say, he's 100. Let's try to view him as like, let's say he cost 100 because he does cost 100. I would say gold. Like, I don't see how I could put him any less. Like, he's so cheap for just taking that fire, for taking ages to be cut through, for just tiring the enemy down, which I know if you're fighting an elf, that's really not something you should try to do because you're going to tire them out so slowly. But if you're fighting humans or other orcs, then yeah, tiring them out is sometimes just throwing an orc fodder unit at them so that they swing their swords around for a while and they get tired. That's a good thing to do. So no, I think gold. I just don't see how you can put them any less than that. You know, they're just little fodder boys. Then Rudar Clansmen. I love these guys. You give them an armor upgrade. Their armor's absolutely pathetic, but they've got that beefer of a shield. And now when you're playing as Rudar, you need to be aware that you cannot. There's some things that you just cannot do. And holding a line for a long period of time is not really something you can do. Just because your boys don't care about defending themselves. It's not that they're too stupid to learn how to defend themselves, they just don't care. They're furious. They want their land. They want it to be, you know, the true descendants of the Dunedain. I don't know whatever they're wanting to go with today, but they're not going to look after themselves. So you're not going to hold for very long. Your Rudar clansmen are your best bet for that. To be honest, the Etamor troll hunters have a half decent defensive skill, so if you want to send them on in after they've used up their javelins, that's a solid shout. But the Rudar clansmen they've got a 6 attack skill, which is double what some of these units have, and it is a good. It's another 2 more from than what the Gondor spears have. I think giving them the armor upgrade, of course, it can give them some benefits, but it doesn't bump up their armor to anything fantastic. I think it doubles it, which, to be honest, is quite a useful thing. But no, they really are relying on that shield in order to protect themselves from archer fire, and then just when they get into melee, they're trying to kill the enemy. Now, is this the same viewpoint as with the Moron guard? Wouldn't I just prefer to have a Rudar swordsman? He's going to kill a lot more infantry in melee, and yeah, I can see that actually. But still, it's a shield wall unit. It's a good morale. Well, for an evil man, it's a good morale shield wall unit. So you can kind of trust that they're hopefully not going to just break and scatter as you're getting in there. As I say, they're iron for me. And then once I will totally accept my bias. I love the wild man aesthetic, so that's the way it's got to be. Riddermark spears here. So we got the midline Rohan spearmen. I like these guys. You know, Rohan really does rely on its spears because it doesn't have a phalanx, so its spears need to be solid, and I think the Rohan spears are very solid. I do often I do like to push this idea that Rohan is an effective infantry faction, and because they are, you know, and it's just new players are attracted to Rohan and they don't know how to do it. But still, Riddermark spears are nice, and yeah, I can't really see anything bad about them. They're of course their numbers are maybe not so great for what you're getting, but yeah, no, like I can't put them any lower than iron right now. I think that yeah, if stuff does start to get pretty dicey up here, we've only really got space for another two images on both gold and iron, so it's going to be a bit frightening in a minute, but we'll see. Scion Rim now. As I mentioned, Scion Rim in the Eastron Guard, the Scion Rim are just superior. They used to provide a morale buff. Now, if they still provided a morale buff, I would be struggling here. I would be really edging them on to Mithril. they no longer do that. Actually, let me just test this. Okay, good, I can put one more. Yeah, and then that's it, full. Yeah, if they did still have that morale buff, it would be tough for me to fight that. But the fact that they don't have that anymore, now they are just a very quality spearman, which I think you don't really see the shield wall in front of phalanx idea too much with Rune. You do see it on occasion, but when you see it, you often get the flag rim standing in front of the halberdiers. You know, you don't really see the scion rim doing that, and you tend to see the scion rim either on the flanks or right behind, ready to sort of do a shield wall push through or something like that. And that's why I used to think that them with that morale buffer was such an interesting concept, because they were kind of an anchor, unlike with the way that I normally use spearmen, which is sort of they are holding the flanks to fight in the melee and then also defend from cav. They were right in the middle because they provided that morale buff and they were fighting there. But no, I can't. I just don't see me putting them below gold. But saying that, they don't have AP. They don't, and some of these units do. So I don't know. We'll see. Sons of the Fallen, I think, to be honest, Mithril. Now, they are very expensive. They're 1,000, and that's certainly not cheap. You can get 2 of them, I believe, before you hit the red limit. Their AP, they used to not have a spear malice. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Even if it is, they are still tearing people apart in melee. They, in my mind, maybe I shouldn't even put them in here, because I believe they are an elite unit. You know, they are a 1 hit point. Nobody wants 0 hit points. They're a 1 hit point elite unit. You know, they're cheaper. Well, they are the same price as some bodyguard units. You know, and I think maybe the cheapest is 1,100, but still, there are some very cheap bodyguard units. Then, yeah, so they're great, but I think they're always worth it. Even though they are expensive, you will never really see a Khazad-dûm army without at least one of them, because, you know, as I say, if the enemy comes at you with cavalry, you're stabbing them, as I say, with an armor-piercing spear. If they get locked in melee with infantry, you can tear them apart. It's not like even some of these good quality spears here. If you get forward even just like a mid-line unit of sword and shield, you'll cut through them, and you'll lock them in, and you'll kill a heap of them. Whereas with the Sons of the Fallen, yeah, now the issue is, and they've actually got 113. Now, I keep talking about that extra 10 men as if it's something outstanding and incredible, and they can now hold like a football field. I get that that's definitely not the case, but, you know, it is certainly something to keep in mind. So I think they're going to be my first mithril tier up there. Then the Southron Warband. I like these guys. They're AP spears, which cheap AP. Well, I'm saying that they're not cheap. They're about 600. So they're definitely midline. They don't have a great armor value. They don't have an absolutely astounding shield. So they are a much more aggressive spearman, and they're going to really survive on doing damage to the enemy that's attacking them, and really jumping ahead if said enemy is Gondor, you know, or a dwarf or something like that, where they might not be expecting the AP, sort of sudden AP stab. Mixing it up with the Southron pikes, they can really, you know, we see that a lot of the time. These two units used together, you can really be handing out a lot of AP punishment. So I think Iron, once again, this is kind of the same line as the Rudour forces here, Rudour clansmen. They're not going to hold anywhere near as long as a unit of Gondor Spears or Elvel and Vinegard or anything like that, but they'll probably rack up, you know, some decent kills doing it, and they'll lessen the pressure on themselves. Then we have the Blades of the Wood. They can receive an armor upgrade. I still don't think their armor is very good though. So it's kind of the same issue as the Spears of Emenduir. They've actually got less men than the Spears of Emenduir as well. So I think I've got to put them in stone, just because, you know, you can't really have them taking archer punishment. Now, of course, in a perfect world, you don't take archer punishment, but that's not something that you can You know, up against a skilled veteran player that knows the maps, you're not safe. You are going to get hit by his javelins and his ranged units, like whether you like it or not. Well, to be honest, if he hits you with his javelins, your armor doesn't care, you know, like, but you're going to get hurt. So just not having those numbers is an issue. And as well as that, with these lower numbers units, if an enemy does manage to get a good charge on you, you might lose a massive chunk of your boys, you know. Now, yeah, of course you'll turn around and you'll make him pay for it, but you might be 3 cav charges away from that unit just being gone. Whereas some of these beefier units, even though, let's say the Dunman Spears, even though they're not really going to be able to do as much damage in return and their morale might not hold out, the sheer just numbers that they've got will help them just withstand that attack. We're at another 163 unit here with the Tarnastian Spears. I'm probably butchering that, but the general Dol Amroth Spears. There used to be the Tirthair Wardens or something. I know that they used to have another spear and shield, but they do not anymore. The Tarnastian boys, I like them, but I don't really... Do I take them when I play as Dol Amroth? I don't even know if I do. Surely I do. I need to protect my archers somehow. Yeah, I think I must. I wouldn't just leave my archers undefended. So I think you've got to view these guys as somewhat solid. Are they as good as this Gondorian? Like, I think they're iron. You know, oops, sorry, didn't. I think they're iron to me. You know, they do everything you need to do. There's nothing too fancy about them. I love the aesthetic, of course. So that would definitely make me struggle to put them down too low, but no, they're good stuff. Then the Westmark Spears, one of Rohan's far more superior infantry units. I really like these guys, and I mean really like these guys. I think that I think they definitely sort of, to me, I think they do sort of deserve gold. They're not cheap, as I know, but well, they're 7. They're not cheap, but they're not incredibly expensive. So no, I'm probably gonna pop these guys into gold. Now I know they don't have that. They don't have very many numbers is the problem, but they've got a good bit of armor on them. They've got that shield. Everybody's got a shield, but you know it's they don't have AP. But yeah. Now we have a problem because our Númenórean shield guard are. They are armor-piercing spears. They are expensive, but everything from Númenor is. I only ever take one of them. I use them for the concept that I like to call like floating spears. So in the sense that I've got my actual Belagar footmen up front, defending against any cavalry incursions there, but I have my floating spears that stay behind my line. And they respond to any cavalry that is coming at us there. Because they are very good, because they are very powerful, you can sort of spread them out. They're very resilient. You don't really have to hope that 1 or 2 of your guys is catching this cavalry unit, and they'll hurt them. So I want them to be in gold, but for them to fit into gold, I need to move something. So. I'm going to move. See the orc fodder. I don't know, man. I don't. Oh god. Okay. This is where it gets kind of tricky. I'm gonna be doing a. Okay, right. So when they're sitting there, let's do a proper maneuver right now. I was gonna wait until the very end before I did that, but I'll do it now. So we have all these guys. Goblin Band. I don't want to move Goblin Band down any lower. East Strong Guard, you lack that shield. No man. You've got mounted guys to. You've got the clan guard that can kind of grab these guys. I was thinking of using these guys as like a floating unit behind, just as I was talking about with the Númenóreans there. But you've got the East. Nah, I think they've got to go. But saying that, you've got the no. Anyway, so well, that's just cleared a unit from stone, but that's not really helped me. Dunman Spears, they're not going anywhere. Emendure guys, no, they're elves, so at the end of the day, their defensive skill is going to help them out a lot. So I can't move them down any lower. Numenorian spears, as much as I love them, I can't put them any higher than that. Brother of the Spear. We did talk about this. Let's see what else we got. Half orcs, maybe. Minas Morgul Chosen. Minas Morgul Chosen, if anything, I'd want to put them in gold. Let's move. I don't know. Riddermark Spears? I don't know. Eastmark Spears, maybe. Because, to be honest, no. Because that Javelin Volley is fun, but after that Javelin Volley's done, they're not doing anything on the front line. Yeah, they've got to go down to stone, I'm sorry, boys. Which means that they are in iron, at least. Now, I would like them higher than iron. I would like them in gold. So what can maybe trade places with them? They can maybe trade with... Heavy Golden Spears, you're expensive, you know, for what you get. Evenham Spears, no, they're staying. Elder Emily Spears, I don't think so. Is anything here mithril worthy? That's maybe an easier way to do it. I could see the Citadel Guard being mithril worthy. I don't think I can use them well enough to personally make them mithril worthy, but I think that a lot of people would view them as that. I could see arguments being made for the standard Gondor Spearmen being mithril worthy, because mithril is like there's one guy up there right now, and maybe the Westmark Spears, actually. Maybe I'm overestimating them, and they're down to iron, and these guys are up to gold. But because you've got the Riddermark Spears are doing a decent job. Are the Westmark Spears really that important? I just don't think they are. Maybe. No, I think that's the case. Hurt me to do that. Did hurt, but okay. So as far as I'm aware, that is kind of me. Let's just have a quick gander there. Just make sure there's nothing that's... Spearmen are definitely a bit tricky for me. As I say, I don't know as much about Spearmen as I do Men-at-Arms, because I will only ever have 2 Spearmen in an army, and sometimes none. But yeah, sometimes I will just rely on my phalanxes to do the job. And no, good. I think that's that. I think if I was to properly sort of examine this for a while longer, units like the Half Orcs and I say the Brotherhood, they might get moved down. Minas Morgul Chosen might get moved up. Orc Fodder, as I say, they're tricky. They're very tricky to know where to put them. And yeah, I could definitely see an argument being made for the Belagars being moved down to iron. But all in all, that's that. This one was quite a long video, so I'll probably stop it up there. But yep, thanks guys a bunch, and see you later.